can tell by my tires that not everybody who's driven with me is still alive. Also that I like my drinks neat bottled and in a bus stop. Also that we're drowning in precinct paper, department store floor plans, and applications to the moon. And we can change the color of our snot from gifted to heart attack and tell you about ashes, but where are all these angels coming from smelling like the cigarette that fails? And why is the man on the safe side of these headlights freezing up? You got nothing to say at my funeral, I'll speak on your behalf. Heroin in my smile. Mountain made a flatland robbery among some things on my mind. The last store run in the name of shared afterlife, Friday to the filter, I'm a tall tale on earth. But here's to that angel that never appeared to America in the night of dog paddle and a batch of hangovers looking for a home. You know, a liar wouldn't have lived this long. That's my humor when fences speak. On a pair of rambling dice that got unique tempers and young souls that say, shut up about our city. I hear Toddle Munch crash over a coast while I lie. The street's teeth are in pieces. There's reservoir art on the faces of stragglers. There's sad news from back home that means we have to grow up on his behalf. Stumble back to a car full of last stand, the truth is stale, but still liquor. Mission Street would be proud of me. I'm a mural man, almost organized. Remember when my lungs would wake up last walking all morning if it was worth it, man? I'm 3 decades homeless. And reservoir art is all I ever see. And I'm 2,000 miles from my first fight. Maybe no one really survived. Maybe I wrote my first poem for no reason. There were hammers in my cradle, which made some people scared to check on me. Because God would have a devil, man. State Street would have a resurrection, and I'd be a menace. Menace to veins that the city protects with precinct flesh. Hey, you know people actually work and marry here? The sun actually comes up. Have you heard the one about ghetto dwellers? Bang, they all duck. Look what the heathen jug in, man. What is that, my bullet? Who is that, your son? Have you heard the one about last names? Did you know that late night talk is the car door to the soul? I don't think we've been here before. In some type of criminal heaven, controlling every headlight from miles. The journey has pain, it's the way I came. My name is on this seat. Royalty among moms will be my right hand. Or it'll be a brand new hammer, a wolf traveling at the speed city's end, interpretations of shot men. You know hands are the only place souls are actually found, and fists get a road trip too. Maybe you should mind me. Or maybe I paid too much attention to this black coat as I was growing up in a wrong lit room. At least the walls was nice, guys. At least I had this sea. At least I got this ocean when our words freeze and Central Time is up. When my family relapses into suicidal neighborhoods and can't depend on me. When black children are sad. When there are guns everywhere. When death is here and I'm a new kind of nearsighted. And she's a new kind of lovely death is. Rights of front yard passes, people getting beat up. I say, I'm not paranoid enough. You got a taste for violence. I've winked at 3 funerals. The Lord gave his only begotten temper to me. Death knows me by nickname. I call it nothing cute. Lord, let me see the enemy in my circle. Let me see that the enemy is my circle. Let my circle kill me. Let me not stay dead. See, I know who I am down to the street signs. Streets pass my life back and forth, pass me into gambling jokes and cigarettes, and here I am thinking this is what you call driving at night. Or this is what you call 35 miles away. Freeway and all smeared all over the city. Tell me, how you write letters with a building on top of your head, with a building feasting on you, with 1,000 backs turned to your kids, without her subtle gesture to interpret in the middle of a backfired resurrection with a president who was out to kill you? Man, I only got one gun to speak of. Still, I sleep good in August and nobody talks back in traffic. An interestingly handsome bastard. Had to match a violent song. I mean, I'm like a hi-hat on its own mother list, though less of a child project. Tiles become tires, choirs suck down liquor. 5 floors become audience for a dancing killer. You just a dancing killer. Near water walk, outlined all over the state. I've seen a bullet become a cheapskate. Bodies in a bargain, handsome but hardened prison air. Spanish sales, black as well run. Tell about my level. And what you seen me do to water. Then what you seen me do to men. Last of a dying group of friends, shit, another city. And you know, a lot of God can happen in 3 seconds. Not much heaven, though. Hey, here's a man before a fight. A leave me alone type character. Emerging from the penniless death of a one-way street fiction. This is a fancy way of saying I'm gonna make it even if I have to drive backwards. And all I got is chord changes and 1,000 backhands, driving the street like I'm choking a car full of nephews. Hasn't been a sun since November, and there hasn't been a street I can't choke to death. Man, this city better back down. You see this gun on the table? And something about staring until it all feels stable. Why wouldn't I protect everyone on my death, sleep late? My son better be quick. My daughter better shoot first because we fold for no one. You know, we fold for nothing. Okay, the first thing you'll feel is the heat. This lady would tell me, trying to tell me about possession. Drink life need is what I'm mostly here. And most of the world leaves me alone. To breathe smog like a giant, to go to jail every once in a while when the genocide kicks up in late May. When politicians have too easy a time, I'm gassing backwards out of one-way street in honor of myself. And in honor of you. if you understand the nature of the world. And how long I've been just like my father? Well, hell of a resemblance says the anxiety of the neighborhood. This is like a crossroads or a crossroads narrative. With so much crossroads, people get in the habit of turning back. Turn back only to find themselves remembering me, but not my last words. A man before a fight, you feel the heat. But there's nothing to keep in mind, there's nothing to remember, really there's nothing to be. Just this moment, then another, then stare, then it all becomes stable. Then the table legs go fuzzy and Friday's an unfamiliar face peeking in the window. It's cool to panic for a second, composure is wasted on your worst enemies. People are marked on that sidewalk, you the only thing life-size. Everybody knows this. In a wire hanger empire, when the blood stops walking, that feeling isn't father enough to be permission to fold. You better swing one more time. You know that father of yours rose from the grave and said, just give me 5 more minutes. He said, running water is a myth. It's us who are running up, down, and all alongside this water. And people don't rise, people don't rise from the grave. They're not laid down neither. It's us who flip all around their body. So beware when the people around you all look like they're about to jump. It might be your time. You'll feel the heat. And when 4 walls demand to be 4 walls, and the earth outside music, don't panic. Don't try to recreate the earth outside. Don't tell jokes to yourself. Don't even talk disrespectfully to the 4 walls. Instead, unclench your fist and walk away. There might be heaven if you understand the nature of the world. And, apparently, too much of San Francisco was not there in the first place. This dream requires more condemned Africans. Or put another way, state violence rises down. Or still life is just getting warmed up. Or army life is looking for a new church and ignored all other suggestions. Or folktale writers have not made up their minds as to who's gonna be their friend. This is the worst downtown yet, and I borrowed a cigarette everywhere. I've taken many a walk to the back of a bus that led on out the back of a storyteller's prison sentence, then on out the back of slave scars, but this is my comeback phase. I left my watch on the public bathroom sink and took the toilet with me. Threw it at the first bus I saw, eating single mothers half alive. It flew through the bus line number and on out the front of the White House. Hopefully you find comfort downtown, but if not, we brought you enough cigarette filters to make a decent winter coat. A special species of handshake, let's all know who's king and what's the lifespan of uniform cloth. This coffin needs to quit acting like those are birds singing. Rusty nails have no wings, have no voice other than that of a white world dying. Their book pages in a gas pump, catchy, isn't it? The way 3 nooses is the rule, or the way potato sack masks go so well with radio codes, or the way condemned Africans fought their way back to the ocean, only to find waves made of 1920s burnt up piano parts, European backdoor deals, and red flowers for widows who spend all day in the sun mumbling in San Francisco. Red flowers, but what's the color of a doctor visit? There are book titles in the streets. Book titles like, Hero, You'd Make a Better Zero. Or, Hey, fur coat lady, the president is dead. Or, Pay Me Back in Children. Or, They hung up their bodies in their own museums. And other book titles pulled from a drum solo. Run here, hero. Lied the hiding place. All the bullets in 10 precincts know where to go. There's no heaven nor any other good idea in the sky. Politics means that people did it and people do it. Hey, I understand that when in San Francisco and other places, that was never really there. I bet this ocean thinks it's an ocean, but it's not. It's just 6th and Mission Street. I don't know who's king. King of things. Like America, I'm proud to deserve to die. I'm gonna eat my dinner extra slow tonight in this police state candy dispensary you all call the neighborhood. No set of manners goes unpunished. Never mind a murderer's insomnia or the tea kettle preparing everyone for police sirens. I'm off to make a church bell out of a bank window. Kitchens meant more to the masses back in the day, and before that we had no enemy. Somewhere in America, the prison bus is running on time. You're gonna lose your job before revolution hits. Somewhere I won't be home for breakfast. Everyone out here now knows my name, and I won't be turned against for at least 4 months. The cop in the picket line is a hard-working rookie. The sign in my hands is getting more and more laughs. It says, the picket line got cops in it. I can take care of those windows for you if you want, but someone else got to go inside your gas tank. It was clear to the man that rich people had talked too much this year. Hey, why don't you go ahead and throw down that Marble Park bench everyone's looking up at? Get the romance out of your mind. And maybe a good night's sleep would have changed the last 20 years of my life, playing instruments like punching the wall. What would you have me do? Replace the population? Give brotherhood back to the winter? Stop smoking cigarettes with the barely dead? You know they listen in on the Sabbath. Police caught the police on me. There was a white candlestick beneath my detention. I ruined the soup again, thought the judge as he took off his pilgrim robe behind a white people's door and more. I didn't get lucky, I got what was coming to me, he told. Hey, fight me back, the man said. Of course, to himself. washing windows with a will to live. Tin can on his left shoulder, enjoying the bright, brand new blight with all party goers, both supernatural and supernaturally down there. What is this elevator? Traveling side to side? Like 1,000 bitter Polaroid pictures that you actually try to eat. All the furniture on this street nailed to the cement. Cheap furniture, but we have commitment. This morning, an essay opens the conversation between enemies. Why? Because you control every grain of processed sugar between here and the poor man's border. Because in the tin can on my left shoulder, I can hear the engines of deindustrialization. Man, you should get into painting, you know. Tell lies more deeply. This month, I'm rooting for the trader. Carting cement to my pillow. Here we will build them. I'm high again, not talking much. Hey, why don't you climb up the organ pipe to our apartment floor? I'm high again. Calling everything church, singing along to a courtyard, thanks to a horn player's holy pastime. I'm just putting a real jacket on it, you know. Talk about a real 5 years. Keep memories like these in the pocket next to the toll receipt. You know, that man lost a wager with the God of good causes. I mean, he stood up for himself a little too late, maybe too early. I can still see 20 angles of his jaw zigzagging through the cold world of deindustrialization. There's an art to it. I'll tell my closest friends one day. I'll put it another way. Man, when a drummer is present, they are God. I am not an I. I'm a black commons. I'm writing my new tattoo out on bus station glass, making tattoos all afternoon, trying to talk myself into seeing the decade through. I said, man, I must really be the devil's front man. I mean, staring at an empty bus that I imagine in fact carries paintings of people. And the man drunk behind the wheel has to choose between a black and white toddler after school in America on a California street that doesn't need a name nor a California. Ain't nobody on the street has a job, and therefore no one is there. I colored my precious gun and dance floor for him in the same day. The joke began. The walk on the bus seats is fine by me as long as I get to the front. The joke concluded. And Tuesday is rotten soup or downhill entertainment or commotion in the ashtray or the day that jail quotas get filled or the day that the planet plays flat. And maybe a capitalist says stadium seats on fire cause economic progress. The communist got plenty of time to finish his cigarette and lie to his boss. A killer lying down in front of a tank, I have a small statue built in my chest and also an anchor upside down in the air. Worried about the walls, I forgot that the ceiling was closing in on me too. It's my take on my alcoholism. I'm hunched over a meal I ate 5 years ago. See, that's my take on the look on my face. Cursed got a little, took another step up the staircase, and for a second forgot all occupants of the world, beginning with this house. I'm an action hero of one street proportions. Rap music is the way to count blessings. The 80s was better than fiction. I'll be half-eaten my entire life. I have a piece of fence messed through my skull. I'm always walking beside myself with a gun in my head and another one pointed at passers-by. Half of me or all of you walking in and out of myself, but I'm always happy to see you with a miraculous route you took through my threat. Honest pay, a knife in my arm. Honest pay in my chest, a broken lock on the monument. Tell you the truth, I forget what my hand looked like, what I did with them, or what kind of third eye the handcuffs cut into my wrist. If you reverse the car any farther, you will run over all the scenes in the back of your mind. Now, let me put it a different way. The first cigarette made that parking lot my bedside. The second cigarette made that parking lot my front pocket. Next, I held the witness like a newborn, though half-hearted. Brittle teeth by my art. Watch how we talk in depopulated circles. I mean, you caught me, said the hangman to the condemned. You caught me red-handed, but the hangman's hand kept moving nevertheless. Biting flags eastbound, another familiar sound effects. A revolutionary would call us a landless fire. The night train agrees that these are my keys. I'm just admiring your fabric, Lord. My art is rational. Therefore, my life is in danger. Traveling up the tap this time, and it looks like water was never here, just jail noise and the jail noise that politicians speak. This world is weak. Lost its graffiti too many times. I'll tell the witness all characters are in motion regardless of what that day did to your disposition. I also left that piece of good news in the ashtray next to my nickname. You know, every room has a kitchen in it. Every life has company to feed. Every room has a rumble in the corner. 8th grade heroin in my hand, along with pieces of an uncle. A purgatory grease fire got us worried. A phone rings in 1988, and the epoch begins when a mother hangs up. This is not writing poems. This is wishing carloads well. A tour guide through your robbery, I also am. Cigarette saying, look what I did about your silence. Ransom water and box spring gold this decade is only for accent grooming, I guess. Ransom water and box spring gold, the corner store must die. War games, I guess. All these tons from this junk. The start of mass destruction begins and ends in restaurant bathrooms that some people use and other people clean. And you telling me it's a rag in the sky? Waiting for you, yes. We've written the same, we set a stage. We should have fit in. Warehouse jobs are for communists, but now more corridor and hallway have walked into our lives. Now the whistling is less playful, and the barbed wire overcrowded too. My dear, if it is not a city, it is a prison. If it has a prison, it is a prison, not a city. When a courtyard talks on behalf of military issue, all walks take place outside of the body. Dear life to your left, a medieval painting to your right. Yeah, none of this really makes an impression. Crop people living in thin air, you have 5 minutes to learn how to see through this breeze. When a mask goes sideways, barbed wire becomes the floor, barbed wire becomes the roof, 40 feet into the sky becomes out of bounds. When a mask breaks in half, mind which way to, I was like, they killed the world for the sake of giving everyone the same backstory. We're watching Gary, Indiana fight itself into the sky. Oh, pennies for wind, for that wind feeling you get before the hood goes up and over your headache. Pennies that stick together, mocking all aspirations. Stuck Together Pennies was the first newspaper I ever read, along with the storefront dwelling army that always lets us down. Where the Holy Spirit favors the backroom souls in a situation that offer 100 ways to remain a loser. Souls watching the clock, hoping their eyes don't lie to sad people. What was we talking about again? The narrator asked the graveyard. 10 minutes flat. Said the graveyard, the funeral only took 10 minutes. Never tell that to anyone again. You just gonna pin the 90s on me? All 30 years of them? Then why should I know the difference between sleep and satire? The pyramid of corner stores fell on our heads, we died right away. That building wants to climb up and jump off another building. These are downtown decisions. And somewhere on this planet, it's August 7th, and we running down the rust thinking one more needs to come with me. And what evaporated on Earth so that we could be sent back down? Guided by teeth goes this country. There's a cow's mouth on the flag. A peculiar notepad, whole street life dear, but the writer's not here. He's somewhere talking to tombstones about the good old days. Or splashing reborn water on his latest face, or wondering how his old gun is doing in the afterlife, or wondering how much death trap is in those gas station aisles. It gotta be $1 million a day on this concrete island. New engine in the moon, why it never goes down. 72 straight hours of night, at least according to everyone's posture around here. At 8:30 in the morning is really 30 minutes to closing. The city, shuts down for a sleepy rat race. Elevators shoe shuffle to the nearest heaven, laughing with rats the whole way up. There's scabs everywhere. In puddles of city, in concentrated schools and TV-lit warm rooms. The light reveals military fatigue when it hits just right on the ties that are wrapped around the necks of lazy white guys. Empire is too easy, baby. Shit, tear at the walls all summer if you feel like it. Best way for a target to move is shooting back. Running for a tree line made of freeways. Wisdom says against a war machine on Tuesday, you stand no chance, but may we be the last poor men to play it safe. Cow's mouth on the flag. A politician raises his hand and the crowd shows their teeth. An oligarch raises his hand, little girls are not safe outside. You all high depressing comrades and function. 15 minutes of closing in the city has survived another black rebellion. We just paying dues by trash fires, not just anybody can set. And don't you love how deadly things whisper in a moment and people kill like feathers fall while everybody screaming inside? The writer knows that death is not a matter of dignity, rather humor. In a house that smells like roach races, nuclear percentages on torn stoves, here life never was. Just lazy matches and manic inhumanity, hands rushing away from life towards stoves. What we doing here? Surviving for no reason in particular. Because nobody gone far today. Nobody will go far tomorrow. So trust me, hell and heaven cannot count. There's strange gardens where secondhand clothes play. And concrete wishes to be human so that it could be accountable. Where they find you drenched. And drains wish to be human so that they could be worthy arms for you to die in. Greet them all, grandson. Prepare for the day when every child is calm, and don't say we ghosts didn't write you a poem. Don't say we didn't dig your life. Hey, remember the shotgun by the coat rack that everybody in the house knows how to use? You remember the tightrope made of needles for walking in between driveways? And man-made best friends. Hey, go ahead, grandson, tune the street again. Never mind, this country kills musicians first. Broken neck night, scarred neck life. If these walls could write lyrics, they say, what's your angle, angel eyes? 30, 50 rounds pass by on the street with no daughters, man. This street has no sons, just young prisoners of war in a racist city that means to make capital. And we know so much. We know it all. We were stood against walls. Who's on the third cross around here? Cow's mouth salivating over the street. And that is the story of why we aim at teeth. All right. In conclusion, from a 2-floor skyline and abandoned house talk to me. It said, young man, you are heroic and 10 years old. Among 20 generations of friends, friends will free fall away. They will free fall up. And they will free fall the walls with 5th grade speed to industrial pain. I'm behind secondhand fences. Young man, use quick knife tones. Be bone and brass, be last laugh music. You're always leaving. Always want to change your clothes from the door, a life and escape. A 2-floor skyline said you're the guy that dies in the middle. The friend more blues than skin. The face of cheap hotels, schizophrenics can place with 90 mile per hour right eyes among dry heat killers, once children, 3 feet high and roaming and repeating, and aiming at cotton mirrors that hang on breathing walls. You're 10 years old, tagging along, yawning at well-lit violence, whistling tool shop songs. You will be useful. Now you will be behind alone, flying on a nephew dragon from a $20 family in a sky that calls itself just more soil. Around walls that are just walls, except these walls suggest you make wives out of highs and currency. And here the air is polite to sleepy glass and bullying walls. Young man, you will come to admit that sometimes suicide is power, because some people live stronger as ghosts. And sometimes the afterlife empties. Billions of souls enter objects like playground bullets and abandoned door frames. Even broken glass will prove it has voice too. There are 24 hours behind your back. Look over your shoulder right now. Can you hear it? The sound of drums punching themselves out, the sound of piano parts learned in between assassination attempts. Be bone and brass, be bone enough for 2 souls, be invincible again. Suffer red-eyed accents, professional fingertips, gifted victims, 6 in the morning beer, the first month of probation, and shout at the wall, see these words that shouldn't be home. Look behind you again, be invincible again, be women, be a sad machete, should be your son. Be a thief, steal his back, laugh too long, never look away. The afterlife will empty and walk you home. You know, capitalists dropped 10 tons of barbed wire onto my Tuesday shift. We shot back at their chimpanzee pilot for the sport. The contractor has already smoked 3 cigars only 1 hour into my court appearance shift. Supervisor likes the smell, says it reminds him of when he ran the streets. And all I remember is we shot back. A gated puppet dances along. Bars and jigs says I'm the happy one of bleeding. You know, meanwhile, kids commit childhood behind these wooden plaster joints. Wire dodgers under this silly puppet, a silly puppet dancing for white heaven. Like weapon is a jacket and precinct holds Friday hostage, we go through a fossil jaw and see a judge. The tunnel at the end of the light. I sleep until woke by dry cereal and surrender. This holding cell only needs a giant panhandler's palm to shake us coin men around. I'm breaking my fingers for my sister's bill collectors. Garage casket open, I mean all third world parallels kill openly. Breaking my lungs for my sister's rent. I'm the sculptor of construction dust. I miss cigarettes by mid-morning. I miss Hennessy by sundown. I miss murder by inches. $5 bills cherish my days outside, always behind. There's no concentration in this courtroom. Just a bunch of B+ students living out their nightmares. How do I plead with a straight face? 2 blocks up is a reoccurring cliff, along with slavers' paraphernalia, along with an ordinary panhandler, along with ethnic parade history, along with the ethnic parade, along with 13th graders. But let's talk about the fact that 4 dead children later, I still don't have a problem beating you up in front of everybody. Let's talk about the fact that money is death. Down to my last $5 is what I call this shoot. 10 o'clock political education is what I call this dream. I got the job is what I call this blues. 2 days later is what I call a cliff. Capitalists eat until the world is blurry to them. You know, these streets is made of saliva. Some people made of saliva too. They usually got on uniforms. While a crazy man spins round and round trying to make a record out of this mass production jungle. And maybe I'll join him, count cash and cry. These streets is made of saliva, and white sheets are worn by a building in which kids are supposed to learn how to read well. White sheets on the highway too. Another mirror needs their head on a pike. One down is just one down, but you know, you tell all this to the masses and your teacher will pipeline you. They told me I was jewelry. They told me this was jungle. Well, maybe not jungle, more like 50 machine guns planted in the ground. It's raining faces again in California. What does it say about heaven? What does it say about the people you killed? Waiting lines got so exhausted, a million minds dropped all these faces at once. If the fascists can read the lips of a giant talking in his sleep, we might as well make our demands in prison letters. Today was born the most important trigger finger in the world. Today I've begun counting down the pages between now and a pile of books by a tunnel. Chicago is gonna walk out of Chicago one day. Babies that drag street signs like old toys. Today, the most important letter left prison. Babies that laugh at flags like faces that have disappeared. Maybe I'll join them. But for now, these streets is made of saliva, and we raise half-full glasses to the basements that meant nothing, and the working poor who live there. We get shot. We get white sheets on California, where the kitchen table like to talk as much as the walls and romance on the porch consists of hard residing. I mean, this picture characters talk spit and know that they hard to kill. The kitchen table knows this. The porch is almost convinced that one down is just one down. This town is coming to town. A circus watching itself, half distracted, half suicidal, thrilled children dressed as cops, thrilled children preaching and policing and intaking and hiring and snatching your money. This town's coming to town with tough trademarks to follow. Today, I watch capitalism walk on water and people play dead so that they could be part of a miracle. And now, well, that's the end of me. And now for the greatest big sister in the world, Mahogany Browne is almost a point of, she's like a point of BCAD for me, and that's the best I can put it. Quit while you're ahead. So everybody, man, give it up for Mahogany Browne. Before you, it was nothing, and then, salvation.
That's great. Oh, that's so sweet. He's so smart. I was like, what does that mean? I knew he'd be able to explain it to me. Give it up for Tongo, Eisen-Martin. Literally one of the best this generation has ever created. So I'm excited to share space. He was just like, hey, let's do some poems. I was like, what? Oh, sure, done. And then I brought my mom and my grandmother and my auntie. So shout out to them for holding it down for me. These poems would not exist without them. So I'm gonna start with the poem that I wrote, thinking about my 14-year-old self, because I feel like we all survived middle school. So yay you. That drum was hard. Me and Lily ain't talking, cause she thinks she cute, cause she think I ain't. Must be pretty boy Curtis, all in her head, all in her mouth, making her forget her home training, making her forget her daddy got a gun for a living. And her mama ain't live with him, and this is why I think she ain't got no sense no how, cause ain't nobody but fast girls checking for Curtis. And he keep her name close, and she don't come home the same way no more. She must think she cute, must think I ain't. How she keep me waiting like I'm supposed to like Curtis or something, and I hate his light-skinned self, especially cause he ain't funny as he think, especially when he call me black, and ugly, and stupid, and she stay grinning, like he the sun, like we ain't friends, like I am protected from the heifers. I'm gonna jump on her every time we go to the skate rink. Cause Lily pretty, and their boyfriends forget they home training around her. So when Curtis said the things I've already said about myself, and she laughed, I know deep down inside, she ain't never really thought I was pretty no how. How she just said them lies to keep my shadow all up and around her sunshine smile. She be the sun. When we go to the pool party and everybody there in their bikinis and I got my one piece on with a white t-shirt on top. And the boys, they just looking like their mama ain't taught them nothing worth knowing, and Lily got that good hair. So she don't care if it's wet and loose. And my hair ain't close to being good. So I keep it in a tight, real tight ponytail. Till the sun gets so hot, I jump in to cool my sadness down. It's like I already know, so I let my shoulders swing low like my heartbeat. And I watch Lily, how she walk, and everybody stop. And I'm trying to learn, cause ain't nobody got time for the kind of shade I got. But everybody got time for the sun. Lily smiled at Curtis. Now he only a little bit cute, but he ain't funny or smart, so that's how I know she lying. And I pretend I don't hear his South Sacramento slur. I pretend I can't see his hazel eyes when he say, lose her, ugly, black ass, and Lily laugh. She say, shut up, Curtis. But it sounds like, come here. So I dunk my head underwater slow and wait for her to say anything like, I don't care how pretty your eyes is, don't talk about my friend, but she just say, shut up. And she laughed. And I think I could stay here. Where it's all blurry, aqua blue, I think I could stay here. Where my eyes don't hurt so much, and it don't feel like I've been looking at the sun all day long. So I brought a couple of books, and I was gonna sell them, and now I feel like I should just give them away because this feels like a really special night. So if you want a book, just donate the money to the Lab San Francisco and take it. The best time I had as a teenager included a bottle of Cisco. Sorry, Mom. She didn't know till now. And a sideshow at the Uptown gas station after Kenny's body was bludgeoned by his girlfriend and her two brothers. There was no one to tell us we couldn't talk loud and follow the sound of our echoes, ragged with haunt, before Andre lived to tell about his hit-and-run accident at the homecoming party when Browne limbs held 40 ounces in each other's ego, a delicate enchantment after Andre was left for dead in a stall car a year later. The air crackled, the tires squealed, a lullaby in the emptying parking lot. We abandoned our smiles for scowls before Sean's body flew through the car windshield. All we knew was move, drink, swivel, and the promise of an unmemorable death for our kind of Browne, only worthy of a casket caked by the dust of black bones. The name of this poem is How to Write a Poem About Ferguson, or the name of this poem is How a Black Man Dies and No One Makes a Sound, or the name of this poem is Everywhere is Ferguson, or the name of this poem is When the Moonrise Sounds Like Gunshots, or the name of this poem is How to Teach Your Babies to Walk and Not Run, ever. Or the name of this poem is How to Teach Your Babies to Carry a Wallet the Size of Their Smiles, or the name of this poem is How Not to Smile and Make Yourself a Target. Or the name of this poem is How to Write a Poem the Same Size of Emmett Till's Lungs. Or the name of this poem is How to Write a Poem About America's Thirst. Or the name of this poem is Black Blood, It'll Keep You Thirsty. Or the name of this poem is I'm Still Thirsty, An American Horror Story. Or the name of this poem is How to Write an Escape Route from a Tornado. Or the name of this poem is How to Write an Escape Route when the tornado's name is Stop and Frisk. Or the name of this poem is How to Walk the Streets Without Fearing Someone Will Cut Your Neck Open. Or How to Walk into a Boardroom Without Fearing Someone Will Cut Your Legacy Open. Or How to Walk Without Asking for It. Or How to Walk Without Asking for It. Or How to Determine What Asking for It Looks Like. Or the name of this poem is How Asking for It Feels Like a Church Bombing. Or the name of this poem is How to Not Intimidate Nobody in 3 Small Steps. Or the name of this poem is How to Use Your Science Books as Teflon and How That Still Might Not Work. Or the name of this poem is How to Write About the One Time You Held a Gun. Or the name of this poem is How to Write About the One Time You Had a Gun pointed to your face. Or the name of this poem is How to Write About the One Time You Had a Gun Pointed to Your Face. Or the name of this poem is How to Write About the One Time You Had a Gun Pointed to Your Face. Or the name of this poem is How to Write About the One Time You Had a Gun Pointed to Your Face. Or the name of this poem is How to Write a Poem from the Perspective of a Cop's Gun, or a cop's taser, or a cop's baton, or a cop's boot. Or the name of this poem is How to Write a Poem Without Repeating Yourself. So I'm gonna do a couple of more. I want to do something new that I rarely do in public, only because I just learned about, well, not learned, but I just started practicing meditation. I know, it's just me, no problem. But I had a real moment, y'all. I was like, oh, it's just when you don't you sit still and you breathe. What does that mean? That shit's bananas, right? I live in New York, so every moment is hurry up, get it together. What are you doing? What are you breathing for? You're not doing a thing. And I moved to Miami for winter, and there was nothing to do but watch manatees and dolphins. And I was like, what is this Disneyland? This is amazing. So I want to do that, but I want to do this joint first. Okay, all right. Okay, word. So, all right, before I get to the meditation, I've been doing, me and Tongo talk about this a little bit. This last year of my life has been about writing about mass incarceration and the effects on women and children. And it's, I didn't realize how much of it affected me. I knew that my uncles and my father and my brothers and my community was constantly ravaged by the system, but it didn't, I just thought I kept it moving and I was just, a strong black woman and whatever that means. And then I realized all of the PTSD that you hold by not releasing how you feel about a thing, right? And so now I'm writing this long form poem. I'm gonna do an excerpt of it. It's called Nation-Induced Disorder. It's an epigraph. It is easy to singularly define people by the worst thing that they have ever done, but it becomes more difficult to imagine what we would want the world to do if it were us. Clint Smith. If my mother were ever convicted for her addiction like my father, I wonder who I would be robbing now. The data from the Fragile Family Studies say my kind of survival displays more behavioral problems and early juvenile delinquencies. I say, you right. I rode into the night with a pistol in my gray hoodie, spitting image of my father, his nickname akin to Boom, his red skin the only thing I remember, him towering over me, black hair, red bloodshot eyes, already running, already gone. This was the closest time I ever came to becoming a woman without a number for a name. This is the closest time I ever came to becoming a woman with a number for a name. It is easier than you think to lose yourself in search of resemblance. Politicians with expensive silk ties cut taxes, cue the reality TV series, suggest art programs to settle the inmates, then wonder why humans climb the walls trying to escape their own skin after the teaching artist is asked to stop bringing in poems that encourage collective behavior. 2. Marathon runs of Wentworth mist the room like smoke clouds, and I know TV is only TV to someone that had never been forced to look outside their own heartbreak before. What's a cliff dive to a black man hustled by his own country? He earns 92 cents an hour and my tuition still ain't free. The woman behind the financial aid counter asks me what my father makes. I say, furniture for the dorms here. I say, grandfatherless children. I say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know who he is. 3. And no one prayed for his babies. 4. I entered the gates of a boys' prison menacing the border of Bristol, England, and wonder if the smell that refused to leave my jean jacket 3 days later resembles the air of Pelican Bay. I tossed the jacket in the trash, privileged with the ability to push away the dilemma of a nation-induced disorder. This must be the scent of apathy. Still, this is the closest I've ever come to visiting my father. 5. I remember death by its proximity to what I loved the most. 6. Yesterday, as this poem was still brewing, Nipsey Hussle was mowed down in front of his clothing store on Slauson and Crenshaw. The world raged on, a community shaken into a forest of dying, and I know this is how we grieve. Candles and teddy bears and flowers and posters. Tears and prayer hands and wailing, fighting and swinging and singing and singing for the flawed men that find redemption. For the men that remind us of home. 7. Just minutes away in Inglewood, California, my uncle pulls his blue plastic folding chair under the nearest shaded tree in the yard of his 2-story complex to watch the passersby. My uncle's youngest brother has been dead for years. He sits outside anyway. I wonder if he still smells the See's candy factory 2 blocks away. If he remembers how sweet and satisfying it tasted after we pulled our chains together for lollipops. I wonder if he still waits for my gone uncle to visit him, if that's what he's risking under the sun. 7. I remember death. 8. When I think of my favorite cousin, Andrew, when I learned of my favorite cousin, Andrew, when I heard about my favorite cousin, Andrew, murdered, a shotgun blast to the dome, I am in Sacramento preparing for my Little League softball finals. I play my positions, catcher or third base. I want to be pitcher. I want to deliver the strikeouts. But the daughter of the coach is much more consistent than I am, so I play my positions. I guard where I'm told. I never tag anyone out. We don't win the season. I decide I love the game even if I never win. I decide I love the game even if it never loves me back. 9. I remember. 10. When I return home, my mother is nowhere to be seen, but her smell is everywhere. I don't burden her with the bad news her child didn't win, but when I hear a gasp somewhere behind her closed door, I figure she knows what I know. I don't think twice of the phone's plastic echo as it returns to its cradle in haste. Andrew, a teenager with a brilliant smile. Andrew, just out of jail. Andrew, my favorite cousin. Andrew, could make a room erupt into confetti of joy. Andrew, a gunshot wound to the head. Andrew, bloody and dying in front of my cousin who screamed and cried and cradled his face in one hand, her other hand holding close her newborn son. When I hear her name at our family barbecue years later, after she's testified against the killers and lost her spirit to dance with friends, I make her a new world. I decide she must look like she's never held a dead boy before. Her mushroom hairstyle is asymmetric and perfect. Her eyes shine. Maybe she still smiles and drinks her sweet Pepsi. 11. So if I can write, I do. If I can write, I do. Today, when the sky is forgiving enough to offer a sliver of blue and the smog pretends itself an heirloom of history there, in the corner of my smile is a poem waiting to be picked up, dusted off, and shined real good. But all I can muster is the strength to pull myself to the bathroom mirror and locate my father. Instead, I find you, silly poem, waiting to be seen, waiting to be, waiting. 12. If I can write, I do. If I can write, I do. If I can write, I do. I can write, I do. I do. The quietest time of the day is when I hold my breath, sit back and hold in my stomach, close my eyes into thin slices and whistle. When I share the poem, shape the aftermath into a mudslide, I pretend my father is in the back of the room. Red, red baby, his nickname go. I wonder if he would approve of my line breaks. How strategic I can be. How effortlessly I pass his carcass throughout the audience like an offering. Thank you. Okay, 2 more pieces. Is that okay? Good. All right, so we're going to meditate together. All right, everybody close your eyes. Okay, hold your purse. I know it's San Francisco. She left. She's like, not going to do it. Mount. It's not a safe space. All right, we're going to think of how we prepare ourselves to walk into the world. Maybe there's a certain makeup you put on. Maybe there's a certain lotion, little aromatherapy. How do you prepare yourself to walk into the world? I don't think we realize how much of our lives is set up, putting on armor so that we can walk to our next destination safe. For me, I put on a head wrap, and I realized like this mantra that was going through my head, and I would like to share it with you. Today, you will. Today, you choose. Today is yours. Today is only today. Tomorrow ain't here yet. Slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the homies that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Tie the knot. Tie the bow. Fingers fold over and over a song. Praise this gift. Today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours. Yes, today is only today. Tomorrow ain't here yet. Slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Breathe slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the homies that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. You so worthy. You so heavy in your weight of yes. You so necessary. You so fly. You wet the water. You cool the brow. You heat the skillet. You boil the broth. You the sustenance and the sunset. You keep them chasing the sparks you leave. Today you will. Today you choose. Today is yours. Today is only today. Tomorrow ain't here yet. Slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the kin that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Miraculous stargaze. Most fortunate sky beam. Beyond brilliant, be your resilience. But you knew that already. Who told you any different? You tell them today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours. Yes, today is only today because tomorrow ain't here yet. So slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the kin that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your tribe, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Galaxy of woman, wonder of human. But you knew that already. Who told you any different? Anything that don't heighten your stride, leave it today. Anything that don't strengthen your heart, leave it today. Anything that don't propel your wingspan forward, leave it today. Whoever told you you wasn't fly, whoever told you you wasn't strong, whoever told you you wasn't brilliant, whoever told you you wasn't beautiful is a lie. So remember that as you get ready tomorrow, okay? Mondays are hard. We made it. All right, it's my last piece. Cool. I'm gonna do this for you, Mom. You like this poem? She's so good. So my mom is like a thug-sickle, y'all. I thought I had it together. And then I took my mom drinking, and she really got it down, packed. I gotta get my head together. I'd be like, woo, she's like, nothing can move me. Um, no martini big enough. So this piece is for her, and thank you again for making this happen, T. Thank you for making me the B to your A, B, C, D. What? I'm the B to the C, B, D, A. As long as I'm part of the alphabet, bro, I appreciate you. Tongo really makes me show up in a different way, I think. He's the person that I call when I'm like, am I doing this right? Like, he's like my moral compass, if I can say that. And not for many things, but for like, but for like community and to like see myself as I want my daughter to see me, and to, you know, for legacy. Like, he is the person he keeps it funky, and he does not let me off the hook. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if Jay-Z had a Tongo Eisen-Martin in his life, this NFL deal would have went different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Colin Kaepernick would have that, whatever he needed. Like, it'd just be different. He just makes you show up and be your absolute best self. So thank you for making this happen. And thank y'all for having me and coming out on a Sunday. They say you ain't supposed to be here, black girl. You ain't supposed to wear red lipstick. You ain't supposed to wear high heels. You ain't supposed to smile in public. You ain't supposed to smile nowhere, black girl. You ain't supposed to be no more than a girlfriend. You ain't supposed to get married. You ain't supposed to want no dream that big. You ain't supposed to dream at all. You ain't supposed to do nothing but carry babies and carry felons and carry weaves and carry silence and carry families and carry confusion and carry a nation, but never an opinion. Because you ain't supposed to have nothing to say, black girl, not unless it's a joke. Because you ain't supposed to love yourself, black girl. You ain't supposed to find nothing worth saving in all that brown. You ain't supposed to know that Tina, Beyonce, Cecily, Shonda, rhymes, shine, 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 black girl. You ain't supposed to love your mind. You ain't supposed to love. You ain't supposed to be loved up on. You only supposed to pose voodoo child, vixen style. You're supposed to pop out babies and hide the stretch marks. You're supposed to be still. So still they think you statue. So still they think you chalked outline. So still they keep thinking you stone. Until you look more Medusa, then Viola Davis. Until you sound more Shanae, then Kerry Washington. Until you're more side-eyed than Michelle Obama on a Tuesday, but you tell them you are more than a hot comb in a washing set. You are Kunta Kinte's kin. You are a black girl worth remembering that you are a threat. Knowing yourself, you are a threat. Loving yourself, you are a threat. Loving your kin, you are a threat. Loving your children, you black girl magic, you black girl fly, you black girl brilliant, you black girl wonder, you black girl shine, you black girl bloom, you black girl, and you turning into a beautiful black woman right